The Illuminati. They are the ghost in the machine, the all-seeing eye on the dollar bill, the puppeteers of pop stars and presidents. The Illuminati. The name itself is a lightning rod for paranoia, a synonym for a hidden hand guiding the fate of humanity. But this global conspiracy, this cabal of elites engineering a new world order, began not in the shadowy corridors of power, but in a dusty university office in Bavaria. The year is 1776. While America is busy declaring independence, a professor of canon law named Adam Weishaupt is starting a revolution of his own. Weishaupt was a man at odds with his time. He was a radical rationalist trapped in a deeply conservative, Jesuit-controlled state. He saw the world suffocating under the thumb of religious superstition and monarchical tyranny and believed the only way to free humanity was to tear it all down from the inside. His weapon? A secret society modeled on the Freemasons but with a far more subversive agenda, the abolition of all monarchies and state religions. He called it the Order of the Illuminati. Their methods were pure espionage. They used pseudonyms, ciphers, and a complex hierarchy to mask their identities. They sought to infiltrate the highest levels of government and civil society, placing their members in positions of influence where they could subtly steer policy and opinion. Their recruitment strategy was laser-focused. Target the best and brightest, the wealthy, the powerful, the men who already had their hands on the levers of society. For a time, it worked. The order attracted hundreds of members, including dukes, princes, and prominent intellectuals across Europe. But secrecy is a fragile thing. In 785, the Bavarian government, having caught wind of this subversive group, came down on them with the force of law. The Illuminati was outlawed, its members scattered, its writings confiscated. Officially, the order was dead, a footnote in the history of Enlightenment radicalism. But what if it wasn't? This is where history ends and the grand conspiracy begins. The theory goes that the Illuminati didn't die, it went deeper underground. It shed its skin, burrowed into other organizations like the Freemasons, and continued its work in the shadows. Proponents of this theory point to the French Revolution, which erupted just a few years later as proof of the Illuminati's enduring influence. They see Weishaupt's fingerprints all over the revolution's anti-monarchical, anti-clerical fervor. From there, the myth snowballed. The Illuminati were credited with everything from the Russian Revolution to the creation of the United Nations. They became the ultimate scapegoat, the secret explanation for every confusing or catastrophic event in modern history. The symbol most associated with them, the Eye of Providence atop a pyramid, was plucked from the Great Seal of the United States and re-signified as the ultimate proof of their control over the world's only superpower. Today, the idea of the Illuminati has been absorbed into pop culture, becoming a bizarre running gag in the music industry, with artists from Jay-Z to Beyoncé accused of flashing its symbols. It's a conspiracy theory that has become a brand. But behind the memes and the music videos lies a potent and unsettling idea that the world you see is a facade, that history is not a series of accidents but a carefully scripted play, and that the levers of power are held by a handful of people you will never know, who meet in secret rooms to decide the course of your life. The original Bavarian Illuminati may be long gone, but the idea of it, the fear of it, is more powerful than ever. It's a ghost that haunts our collective imagination, a chilling reminder that the line between order and chaos, democracy and tyranny, may be thinner than we think. The Bilderberg Group. Every year a guest list is drawn up. It includes about 130 of the most powerful people on the planet. Heads of state, titans of industry, Wall Street billionaires, tech visionaries, and the heads of the world's most influential media outlets. They are invited to a 5-star hotel somewhere in Europe or North America. For 3 days, they are sealed off from the outside world. The location is a fortress, patrolled by armed guards and local police. What happens inside is a complete mystery. This is the annual meeting of the Bilderberg Group. Officially, it's just a private, off-the-record discussion forum. A chance for leaders from North America and Europe to have an informal chat about the big issues of the day. The group itself states its purpose is to foster dialogue between Europe and North America. There are no minutes taken, no resolutions proposed, no votes taken. The secrecy, they claim, is to allow for a free and open exchange of ideas, away from the prying eyes of the media. But to critics, this explanation is laughably naive. They see Bilderberg not as a debating society, but as a shadow world government. a place where the global elite gather to forge a consensus on policy, which is then implemented in their respective countries and corporations. The guest lists are Exhibit A. You see names like Henry Kissinger, David Rockefeller, the CEOs of Google, Shell, and Goldman Sachs, the King of the Netherlands, and the head of NATO. These aren't just influential people. They are the people who run the world. The group was founded in 1954 at the Hotel de Bilderberg in the Netherlands, hence the name. The stated goal was to prevent another world war by promoting understanding between the two continents. But from the very beginning, it was an exclusive club of the powerful. The guest list from that first meeting reads like a who's who of the post-war establishment. The conspiracy theories surrounding Bilderberg are legion. It's been accused of everything from orchestrating the 1973 oil crisis to planning the invasion of Iraq. One of the most persistent theories is that the group is responsible for picking future presidents and prime ministers. Proponents point to the fact that both Bill Clinton and Tony Blair attended Bilderberg meetings shortly before becoming leaders of their respective countries. It's as if they were being vetted for the top job. The group's defenders dismiss this as pure coincidence. They argue that, of course, future leaders attend. The group makes a point of inviting rising stars. But the pattern is hard to ignore. The list of attendees who went on to achieve high office is long and impressive. So what really goes on behind those closed doors? Is it a sinister plot to impose a one-world government, or just a high-powered networking event? The truth is likely somewhere in the murky middle. It's probably not a cabal of Bond villains plotting world domination. But it is, without a doubt, a place where the world's most powerful people meet in secret to discuss the future of the planet. And when that many people with that much power get together, their informal conversations can have very real consequences for the rest of us. They may not be writing policy, but they are shaping the intellectual climate in which policy is made. They are setting the agenda. The real power of Bilderberg may not be in what they decide, but in the consensus they build. When the head of a major bank, a prime minister, and a tech CEO all leave a meeting having discussed a particular issue in a certain way, it creates a powerful ripple effect. It's a form of soft power that is almost impossible to track, but its influence is undeniable. They are creating a shared reality among the global elite, and that in itself is a form of control far more subtle and perhaps more effective than any overt conspiracy. The Knights Templar. They were the warrior monks, the shock troops of the Crusades, a holy order of knights who took vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience, yet commanded a vast financial empire that stretched across Europe and the Middle East. They were the Knights Templar, and their story is a cocktail of religious zeal, military prowess, and financial innovation that ended in a brutal, fiery betrayal. The order was born in the aftermath of the First Crusade, around 1119. Jerusalem had been captured, but the roads leading to the Holy Land were infested with bandits. A French knight named Hugues de Payens and 8 of his relatives proposed a solution. They would form a monastic order dedicated to protecting Christian pilgrims. King Baldwin II of Jerusalem granted them a headquarters in a wing of the Al-Aqsa Mosque on the Temple Mount, the site of the original Temple of Solomon. From this, they took their name, the Poor Fellow Soldiers of Christ and of the Temple of Solomon, or the Knights Templar. For nearly 2 centuries, the Templars were the tip of the spear in the ongoing Holy War. They were fearsome warriors, instantly recognizable in their white mantles emblazoned with a red cross. They were the first to charge and the last to retreat. But their military might was only half the story. To fund their operations, the Templars created what was arguably the world's first multinational corporation. They developed a sophisticated banking system that allowed pilgrims to deposit assets in their home country and withdraw them in the Holy Land, using a coded letter of credit. This made them the de facto bankers for much of Christendom. They owned a massive fleet of ships, entire islands, and vast tracts of land. They were exempt from local laws, answered only to the Pope, and paid no taxes. They were a state within a state. But their success bred enemies. Their wealth and power inspired jealousy and suspicion. And in the early 14th century, their most powerful enemy made his move. King Philip IV of France was deeply in debt to the Templars. He saw a way to solve his financial problems and consolidate his own power in one fell swoop. On Friday, October 13th, 1307, a date that may be the origin of the unlucky Friday the 13th superstition, Philip had every Templar in France arrested. The charges were a laundry list of heresy and blasphemy, spitting on the cross, denying Christ, idol worship, and sodomy. The Knights were brutally tortured by the Inquisition until they confessed to these crimes. In 1312, Pope Clement V, under immense pressure from Philip, officially disbanded the order. The last Grand Master, Jacques de Molay, was burned at the stake in Paris in 1314. As the flames consumed him, he is said to have cursed both King Philip and Pope Clement, declaring that they would meet him before God within the year. Both men were dead before the year was out. Officially, the story of the Knights Templar ends there. But like the Illuminati, their demise gave birth to a powerful myth. What happened to their vast treasure, which was never found? What happened to their fleet of ships, which mysteriously vanished from the port of La Rochelle on the eve of the arrests? Theories abound. One of the most popular is that the Templars survived in secret, either by fleeing to Scotland and hiding among the Masonic lodges, or by escaping to Switzerland and using their treasure to found the Swiss banking system. The Freemasons, in particular, have long claimed a direct lineage from the Templars, incorporating their symbols and legends into their own rituals. Another persistent legend is that the Templars were the guardians of a great secret, a secret so profound it could shatter the foundations of the Catholic Church. Some say they had found proof that Jesus had a bloodline that continued into their time. Others believe they were the guardians of the Holy Grail itself. Whether any of this is true is almost beside the point. The Templars have become a symbol of a lost, sacred knowledge, a powerful organization unjustly destroyed, whose secrets still echo in the modern world. They represent the ultimate conspiracy, a hidden history, a suppressed truth, and a secret society whose influence may not have ended in the flames of a Parisian pyre, Skull and Bones. Every year in a windowless granite building on the campus of Yale University known as the Tomb, 15 seniors are initiated into one of America's most exclusive and secretive fraternities. They are tapped for membership in their junior year, and for the next year they will meet twice a week in the Tomb, participating in bizarre rituals and forging bonds that will last a lifetime. This is the Russell Trust Association, better known to the world as Skull and Bones. On the surface, it's just another college secret society, albeit a particularly strange one. But a look at its membership list reveals something far more significant. Since its founding in 1832, Skull and Bones has initiated some of the most powerful and influential men in American history. The roster includes presidents, Supreme Court justices, CIA officials, cabinet members, and captains of industry. The Bush family, for example, has a long and deep connection to the society. Both George H.W. Bush and his son, George W. Bush, were members. In the 2004 presidential election, both major party candidates, George W. Bush and John Kerry, were Bonesmen. This concentration of power has led to accusations that Skull and Bones is not just a fraternity, but a breeding ground for a ruling class, an American aristocracy that secretly runs the country. The society's intense secrecy only fuels these suspicions. Members are sworn to silence about what goes on inside the tomb. When asked about their membership, they are expected to leave the room. What little we do know about their rituals comes from a handful of leaks and exposes over the years. New initiates, known as Knights, are said to lie naked in a coffin and recount their entire sexual history to the group. This ritual is meant to be a symbolic death and rebirth into the order. They are then given new names, such as Magog or Long Devil, which they will use with their fellow bonesmen for the rest of their lives. The tomb itself is filled with strange and macabre artifacts. The most infamous of these is a skull that is rumored to be that of the Apache warrior, Geronimo. In 2009, Geronimo's descendants sued the society for the return of the remains. The lawsuit was eventually dismissed, but the legend persists. The society's wealth is also a source of intrigue. It owns a private island in upstate New York and has a vast, untaxed endowment that is rumored to be worth hundreds of millions of dollars. This financial independence allows it to operate completely outside the university's control. So, is Skull and Bones a sinister conspiracy to control the world? Or is it just a very effective old boys network? The answer, again, is probably a bit of both. The idea that bonesmen gather to plot world events is likely an exaggeration, but the society undoubtedly creates a powerful bond between its members. A bonesman knows that he can call on any other member for help, and that call will be answered. This network of mutual support and obligation gives its members a significant advantage in life. The real power of Skull and Bones may lie in the shared ideology it instills in its members. The society was founded at a time when America was grappling with its identity as a global power. It is said to have been influenced by Hegelian philosophy, which emphasizes the conflict between thesis and antithesis to create a synthesis. Some have interpreted this to mean that Skull and Bones seeks to create a new world order by manipulating conflicts between nations. Whether or not this is true, the society clearly cultivates a sense of duty and a belief in its members' right to rule. It takes 15 ambitious young men each year and tells them they are destined for greatness. It gives them the connections, the resources, and the self-confidence to achieve that greatness. And in doing so, it perpetuates a cycle of power that has shaped American society for nearly 2 centuries. They may not be a secret government, but they are, without a doubt, a secret and powerful force at the heart of the American establishment. The Freemasons. They are the world's oldest and largest fraternity, a secret society that boasts millions of members, including some of the most famous names in history. George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, Winston Churchill, and Mozart were all Freemasons. Their symbols, the square and compasses, the all-seeing eye, are ubiquitous, hidden in plain sight on buildings and currency around the globe. They are the Freemasons, and for centuries they have been the subject of both fascination and fear. The origins of Freemasonry are shrouded in myth and legend. The Masons themselves trace their lineage back to the stonemason guilds that built the great cathedrals of the Middle Ages. They claim a symbolic connection to the building of King Solomon's Temple in Jerusalem. But the organization as we know it today officially began in 1717, when 4 London lodges merged to form the first Grand Lodge of England. From there, Freemasonry spread rapidly across the world. It was a product of the Enlightenment, a society dedicated to the principles of reason, liberty, and religious tolerance. In an era of absolute monarchy and religious dogma, the Masonic Lodge was a place where men of different social classes and religious beliefs could meet as equals. But this very openness made them a target. The Catholic Church was one of their earliest and most vocal critics, condemning them for their secrecy and their promotion of religious indifference. Absolute monarchs saw them as a breeding ground for republicanism and revolution. And it is true that Masons were at the forefront of many of the great revolutions of the 18th and 19th centuries. The American Revolution, in particular, is sometimes called a Masonic Revolution. Many of the founding fathers were Masons, and Masonic principles of liberty and equality are woven into the fabric of the Constitution. This has led to the accusation that the Masons are a secret government, a state within a state that manipulates world events to suit its own agenda. Anti-Masonic conspiracy theories have been a staple of extremist politics for centuries. They were a key part of Nazi propaganda, which accused the Masons of being part of a Jewish plot for world domination. So, what is the truth? Are the Masons a secret cabal bent on creating a secular world order? Or are they just a charitable fraternity, a system of morality, veiled in allegory and illustrated by symbols? The answer is complex. At its core, Freemasonry is a system of self-improvement. It uses the tools and symbols of stonemasonry as allegories for building a better life. Members progress through a series of degrees, each one teaching a different moral or philosophical lesson. The rituals are secret, known only to initiates, but their purpose is to create a bond between members and to reinforce the society's core values. But it is also undeniable that Freemasonry has been a powerful force in history. The network of lodges provided a ready-made infrastructure for political organization. The bonds of brotherhood created a powerful sense of loyalty that transcended national and religious divides. And the society's emphasis on reason and individual liberty undoubtedly contributed to the decline of the old order. In the modern world, the influence of Freemasonry has waned. Membership has declined, and the society is often seen as a relic of a bygone era. But its legacy is all around us. The ideals of the Enlightenment, which the Masons championed, are now the bedrock of Western civilization. And the fear of a secret society pulling the strings of power, a fear that the Masons did so much to inspire, is still a potent force in our culture. They may no longer be the revolutionary force they once were, but the shadow they cast is long. And their secrets, real or imagined, continue to fascinate and disturb us. The Rosicrucians. In the early 17th century, a series of mysterious pamphlets appeared in Germany, announcing the existence of a secret order of philosopher alchemists who possessed the secrets of the universe. They were called the Brotherhood of the Rosy Cross, or the Rosicrucians. They claimed to have inherited a secret wisdom that had been passed down from ancient Egypt, and they promised a universal reformation of mankind, a new age of enlightenment and spiritual discovery. The pamphlets, the Fama Fraternitatis and the Confessio Fraternitatis, told the story of their mythical founder, Christian Rosicrucians. Rosicrucians was said to have traveled to the Middle East in the 15th century, where he was initiated into a secret school of esoteric wisdom. He returned to Germany and founded the Rosicrucian order to spread this knowledge. The pamphlets called on the learned men of Europe to join them in this great work. The effect was electric. A Rosicrucian furor swept across Europe. Hundreds of people wrote letters, desperate to join the order. But no one knew who the Rosicrucians were or where to find them. They were an invisible college, a secret society that existed only in print. This has led many to believe that the original Rosicrucians never existed at all, that the pamphlets were a hoax, a ludibrium, or intellectual game created by a circle of Lutheran intellectuals in Tübingen. The purpose of the hoax, it is argued, was to provoke a debate about the future of science, religion, and society. But whether they were real or not, the idea of the Rosicrucians took on a life of its own. It tapped into a deep current of esoteric thought that had been flowing beneath the surface of European culture for centuries. It was a blend of Christian mysticism, Hermeticism, alchemy, and Kabbalah. It promised a path to spiritual enlightenment that was not controlled by the established church. The Rosicrucian ideal inspired a host of thinkers and movements. It is seen as a major influence on the development of Freemasonry and on the scientific revolution itself. Figures like Francis Bacon and Isaac Newton were deeply interested in Rosicrucian ideas. The concept of a secret, collaborative brotherhood dedicated to the advancement of knowledge is a direct precursor to the modern scientific academy. In the centuries that followed, numerous groups have claimed to be the true heirs of the Rosicrucian tradition. These modern Rosicrucian orders, such as the ancient mystical order Rosicrucis, Amorci, are a blend of esoteric philosophy, mysticism, and mail-order self-help. They offer to teach their members the secret wisdom of the ages for a monthly fee. But the original mystery remains. Who were the first Rosicrucians? Were they a real secret society or just a powerful idea? And what was the secret wisdom they claimed to possess? The Rosicrucian legacy is a complex one. On the one hand, they can be seen as a force for progress, a movement that helped to usher in the modern age of science and reason. On the other hand, they are a source of much of the esoteric and occultist thinking that continues to thrive on the fringes of our culture. They are the archetypal secret society, the keepers of a hidden knowledge that promises to transform the world. They represent the belief that there is more to reality than meets the eye, that there are hidden laws and secret histories that can only be understood by the initiated. It's a belief that is as seductive today as it was in the 17th century. The Rosicrucians, real or imagined, created a powerful myth that continues to inspire both genuine spiritual seekers and charlatans alike. They are a testament to the enduring power of a good story and the timeless human hunger for a hidden truth. Opus Dei. It is one of the most powerful and controversial groups within the Catholic Church. Its members include high-ranking politicians, business leaders, and academics. It has been accused of being a secretive, cult-like organization that uses brainwashing techniques to control its members and seeks to impose a fundamentalist Catholic agenda on the world. It is officially known as the Prelature of the Holy Cross and Opus Dei, but it is better known by its shorter, more ominous name, Opus Dei. Opus Dei, which is Latin for Work of God, was founded in Spain in 1928 by a Catholic priest named Josemaria Escrivá. Escrivá's vision was a radical one. He believed that ordinary laypeople, not just priests and nuns, could achieve sainthood through their everyday work. This was the core of Opus Dei's message: to find God in the mundane, to sanctify one's professional and family life. The organization grew rapidly, spreading from Spain to the rest of the world. It attracted a dedicated following of laypeople and priests who were drawn to its message of spiritual discipline and its call to evangelize the secular world. Today, it has about 90,000 members in more than 60 countries. But from the beginning, Opus Dei has been dogged by controversy. Its critics, many of whom are former members, paint a picture of a highly secretive and controlling organization. They describe a world of intense pressure, manipulation, and psychological abuse. One of the most controversial aspects of the group is its practice of corporal mortification. Numerary members who are celibate and live in Opus Dei centers are encouraged to wear a cilice, a spiked chain, on their thigh for 2 hours a day, and to whip themselves with a small rope discipline. Opus Dei defends these practices as a traditional form of penance, a way of uniting oneself with the suffering of Christ. But to outsiders, they look like self-harm, a tool of a cult to break down the individual's will. The group's secrecy is another major point of contention. Members are often discouraged from revealing their affiliation with Opus Dei. The organization itself has been accused of operating like a church within a church, with its own agenda and its own lines of authority. This secrecy, combined with the group's wealth and its influence in high places, has led to accusations that Opus Dei is a holy mafia, a secret society working to gain control of the church and the state. These fears were famously dramatized in Dan Brown's novel, The Da Vinci Code, which portrayed Opus Dei as a murderous cabal at the heart of a global conspiracy. Opus Dei vigorously denies these accusations. They say they are not a secret society, but a private one. They argue that their members have a right to privacy, and that the stories of cult-like practices are distortions and lies spread by disaffected former members. They see themselves as a force for good in the world, a group of dedicated Catholics trying to live out their faith in a secular age. So what is the truth about Opus Dei? Is it a saintly organization dedicated to the work of God, or a sinister cult with a lust for power? The reality is that it is a complex and highly disciplined organization that inspires both fierce loyalty and bitter opposition. It is a modern manifestation of an old idea, the belief that a dedicated, disciplined elite can change the world. The power of Opus Dei lies in its ability to mobilize its members, to instill in them a powerful sense of mission, and to place them in positions of influence in society. Whether that influence is used for good or for ill is a matter of intense debate. But what is not in doubt is that Opus Dei is a significant and powerful force, a secret society operating in plain sight at the very heart of one of the world's oldest and most powerful institutions, the Trilateral Commission. In 1973, the world was in crisis. The post-war economic boom was over, the Bretton Woods system had collapsed, and the oil crisis was sending shockwaves through the global economy. In this climate of uncertainty, a new and influential private organization was born. It was founded by the billionaire banker David Rockefeller and the political scientist Zbigniew Brzezinski. Its members were a hand-picked group of about 300 of the top political and business leaders from North America, Western Europe, and Japan. They called themselves the Trilateral Commission. The stated purpose of the commission was to foster closer cooperation between the three major developed regions of the world. It was a response to the growing sense that the problems facing the world, from economic instability to nuclear proliferation, were too big for any one nation to solve. The commission provided a forum for the leaders of these three regions to meet and discuss these problems away from the glare of public scrutiny. But from the moment of its creation, the Trilateral Commission became a target for conspiracy theorists, particularly on the far right. They saw the commission not as a benign discussion group, but as the nucleus of a world government, a secret cabal of international bankers and intellectuals who were plotting to destroy American sovereignty and create a socialist New World Order. The Commission's membership list did little to allay these fears. It was a who's who of the global elite. The American delegation included figures like Henry Kissinger, Alan Greenspan, and a then-obscure governor from Georgia named Jimmy Carter. In fact, it was Carter's membership in the commission that is often cited as proof of its power. When he was elected president in 1976, he brought more than a dozen fellow Trilateral Commission members into his administration, including his vice president, his secretary of state, his secretary of defense, and his national security advisor. To critics, this was a clear case of a secret society taking over the government. The Commission's own publications were also a source of controversy. In a 1975 report titled The Crisis of Democracy, the authors argued that the problems of the 1970s were caused by an excess of democracy. They suggested that there was a need for greater restraint on the part of the public and the media, and a greater deference to the authority of elites. To many, this sounded like a blueprint for a more authoritarian, technocratic form of government, run by the very people who were members of the Commission. So, is the Trilateral Commission a conspiracy to create a one-world government? Or is it simply a think tank, a non-governmental organization that seeks to promote international cooperation? The truth, as with many of these groups, is more nuanced. The Commission is undoubtedly an influential organization. It brings together some of the most powerful people in the world and gives them a platform to coordinate their thinking and, to some extent, their actions. It has been a major force in promoting the ideology of globalism, the belief that the world's economies and societies should be more integrated. But it is not a secret government. It has no formal power, no army, no ability to make laws. Its influence is a form of soft power. It works by shaping the opinions and the policy preferences of the global elite. It is a network, a club, a place where the powerful can meet and talk and find common ground. The real danger of the Trilateral Commission, if there is one, is not that it is a secret conspiracy, but that it is so openly elitist. It is based on the premise that a small group of unelected, unaccountable individuals knows what is best for the rest of the world. It is a challenge to the very idea of democracy. And in an age of growing populism and nationalism, the idea of a global elite meeting in secret to decide the fate of the world is more provocative and more dangerous than ever. The Bohemian Grove. Every July for 2 weeks, some of the most powerful men in America gather in a 2,700-acre redwood forest in Northern California. They are members of the Bohemian Club, an exclusive all-male private club based in San Francisco. The encampment is a bizarre mix of summer camp and pagan ritual. The members, who include former presidents, corporate titans, and media moguls, drink heavily, urinate on trees, and put on elaborate theatrical productions. The highlight of the event is a ceremony called the Cremation of Care, in which a human effigy, representing their worldly cares, is burned at the foot of a 40-foot stone owl. This is the Bohemian Grove, and it is one of the strangest and most secretive gatherings of the American elite. The club's motto is "Weaving spiders come not here," which is meant to signify that business and networking are to be left at the gate. But it is hard to believe that when the CEOs of major corporations, high-ranking government officials, and influential politicians are all gathered in one place, they are not talking shop. The guest list over the years has been a who's who of the Republican establishment. Richard Nixon and Ronald Reagan were both members. In 1967, Reagan gave a speech at the Grove that is credited with launching his successful bid for the presidency. It was also at the Grove in 1942 that the Manhattan Project was planned. The secrecy surrounding the Grove is intense. The grounds are protected by a high-tech security system, and the members are forbidden from talking about what goes on inside. This has, of course, made it a magnet for conspiracy theories. The most famous of these comes from the right-wing radio host Alex Jones, who in 2000 infiltrated the Grove with a hidden camera. The footage he captured of the Cremation of Care ceremony, with its robed figures, chanting, and burning effigy, became a sensation in the conspiracy world. Jones claimed that he had witnessed a bizarre, Luciferian pagan ritual. To others, the Grove is evidence of a different kind of conspiracy, the collusion of the corporate and political elite. They see it as a place where the ruling class can relax, let its guard down, and make deals away from the prying eyes of the public. It is a symbol of the cozy, incestuous relationship between big business and big government. So what is the Bohemian Grove? Is it a harmless summer camp for the rich and powerful? A place for the boys to be boys? Or is it something more sinister? The truth is that it is a deeply strange and anachronistic institution. It is a throwback to a 19th century vision of masculinity, a place where the powerful can escape the constraints of modern life and indulge in a kind of performative primitivism. The rituals, which seem so bizarre to outsiders, are a form of male bonding, a way of creating a sense of shared identity and loyalty among the elite. The real significance of the Bohemian Grove may not be the deals that are made there, but the worldview that is reinforced. It is a world of unchecked power, of casual privilege, and of a deep-seated belief in the right of its members to rule. It is a place where the powerful can reassure themselves that they are part of a special brotherhood, a tribe that stands above the rest of society. And in that sense, whether they are worshipping a giant owl or not, the members of the Bohemian Club are participating in a ritual that is as old as power itself, the ritual of the elite setting themselves apart from and above the common man. The Priory of Sion. It is a story that has captivated millions, a secret history of Christianity that, if true, would shake the foundations of Western civilization. It is the story of the Priory of Sion, a secret society that is said to have been founded in the 11th century to protect the descendants of Jesus Christ and Mary Magdalene. This is the central premise of the blockbuster novel, The Da Vinci Code. But the story of the Priory of Sion did not begin with Dan Brown. It began with a charismatic and convicted con man named Pierre Plantard. In the 1950s, Plantard began to deposit a series of documents in the Bibliothèque Nationale in Paris. These documents, known as the Dossier Secret d'Henri Lobineau, purported to be the work of a secret society called the Priory of Sion. They contained a list of the Priory's Grand Masters, which included some of the most famous names in European history: Leonardo da Vinci, Isaac Newton, Victor Hugo, and Jean Cocteau. The documents also claimed that the Priory was the secret power behind the Knights Templar, and that it was dedicated to restoring the Merovingian dynasty, who were said to be the direct descendants of Jesus, to the throne of France. This story was picked up by the authors of the 1982 bestseller The Holy Blood and the Holy Grail, which presented Plantard's claims as historical fact. The book was a sensation, and it laid the groundwork for the even greater success of the Da Vinci Code 2 decades later. There was just one problem. It was all a hoax. In the 1990s, researchers began to unravel Plantard's deception. They discovered that the dossier's secrets were forgeries, created by Plantard and his associates. They found that the Priory of Sion was not an ancient secret society, but a small, insignificant association that Plantard himself had founded in 1956. Its original purpose was not to protect the bloodline of Christ, but to advocate for low-cost housing. Plantard's motive seems to have been a mix of personal ambition and a desire to create a modern myth. He was a royalist who dreamed of restoring the monarchy to France, and he saw himself as the rightful heir to the throne. The Priory of Sion was his vehicle for this fantasy. But even after the hoax was exposed, the myth of the Priory of Sion has refused to die. It is too good a story. It speaks to a deep-seated desire to believe in a hidden history, a suppressed truth that has been kept from us by the powerful. It is the ultimate conspiracy theory, one that challenges not just our understanding of history, but our understanding of faith itself. The story of the Priory of Sion is a powerful reminder of the way that secret societies function in our culture. They are a blank screen onto which we can project our fears and our fantasies. They are a way of making sense of a world that often seems chaotic and meaningless. In the end, it doesn't matter that the Priory of Sion was a hoax. The idea of it, the myth of it, has become more real and more powerful than the mundane reality. It is a testament to the fact that sometimes the stories we tell ourselves about the world are more important than the world itself. And in the shadowy world of secret societies, the line between history and myth, between fact and fiction, is often impossible to find.